To evaluate this limit here as x goes to 0 from the positive side, you're going to use the fact that sine of pi over x, which is the exponent of e here, is between -1 and 1 as long as x is not 0. So using that, we can set up an inequality for e to the sine of pi over x. So I'm going to put that in the middle. So since sine of pi over x is between -1 and 1, the largest that sine of pi over x can be is 1. So the largest that e to that can be is e to the 1. Also, the smallest, since sine of pi over x, the smallest it can be is -1. E raised to the sine of pi over x, the smallest it can be is e to the -1. So what we have is that e to the sine of pi over x is less than or equal to e, because e to the 1 is just e, and greater than or equal to e to the -1. So now we can finish getting the function whose limit we're trying to find. You see that we already have the upper bound on e to the sine of pi over x, but we need this whole thing to be in the middle. So we're missing a square root. Since the square root of x is going to be positive if x is approaching 0 from the right-hand side, what I can do is I can multiply each part of this inequality by that positive number. So remember, it's important that it's positive, because if you multiply each part of it by a negative number, you have to switch the signs. Okay, so to get this in the middle, all I have to do is take the inequality I have and multiply each piece of it by square root of x, the missing piece. So I have square root of x times e to the -1 equals this whole thing times square root of x. Is less than or equal to this whole thing times the square root of x is less than or equal to e times the square root of x. Okay, so let me rewrite that. Okay, so we have square root of x e to the -1 less than or equal to square root of x e to the sine of pi over x less than or equal to square root of x times e. So we have the inequality, which gives us an upper and lower bound on this function that we want to find the limit for. So all we have to do is figure out where this goes as x goes to 0 from the right, and where this goes as x goes to 0 from the right. If they both go to the same number, which they do, they both go to 0, then this thing here goes to that number as well. Okay, so since this here goes to 0 as x goes to 0 from the right, and this here goes to 0 as x goes to 0 from the right, by the squeeze theorem, this goes to 0 as x goes to 0 from the right. So this limit here is equal to 0. Okay, so you see in this case, I didn't start with an absolute value inequality to produce the inequality, because I don't just have the sine or the cosine now, I have e raised to that.